Good afternoon. Sorry I'm not in class today. Had an appointment come up, and so I'm going to record this. You're getting the lesson. For those that aren't here, now you have the lesson to listen to. So on Thursday, we started our unit on polynomials. So we're obviously continuing that, but we're going to start talking about graphs of polynomials and things we can estimate or approximate with those. Okay, so you will need your calculator as we go. So for your bell work, as you can see, here's our schedule for the unit, but you have the pink sheet. It's all there. So here's your bell work. You do need highlighters here. So I recommend getting some highlighters out. Now I do have highlighters over by the door in a drawer. So use those if you need to. Just make sure to put them back when you're done. And whoever is running this video, go ahead and pause it here so you have time to complete this. And as the video keeps going, pause the video anytime it's going too fast and you need time to write some notes. Maybe even back it up if it was a little confusing and you want to hear it again. So push pause. Students in class, did the person doing the video actually push pause? If not, get them to push pause. So, hopefully you highlighted what you needed to. So if I'm going to highlight, I'm just going to show you what I did on mine. Increasing, remember, as you're going from left to right, going up the page. Decreasing from left to right, I'm going down the page. Oops, I didn't mean to put that top part there. Oop, different highlighter. X-intercepts. We've been solving those in many units. Let's see. Y-intercept. Ooh, they're kind of right there together. Relative maximums. Okay, this is bringing back some things from Unit 1 when we were talking about, we had a whole bunch of vocabulary. So maximums would be here and there. So those are the peaks. And then the relative minimums are the lowest point of the valleys. Okay. So these should be nice and pretty and colorful. Thank you for getting out the highlighters. All right, so go back to here. What we're doing now is example 1 on page 5. Okay, you are going to use this graph and approximate the answers of A through F. So I would like whoever's running the video to again pause and let everyone do this and then push play again when you're done. So if you didn't push pause, then follow along. Otherwise, if you did push pause, then check the answers as I write them. So the range, you can tell by end behavior here that our range is negative infinity to infinity. Whoa, that's a horrible infinity there. Increasing intervals. Now remember, when we are writing those, that is splitting apart the domain. Okay, so I can see here is where it's going to change from increasing, decreasing. Here is where it's going to change. And remember, our domain is negative infinity to infinity. Okay. So it's going up the page there, down the page there, and up the page there, okay? So increasing interval will be negative infinity to, and the x value there, I'm going to guess is, I don't know, I'm guessing negative 1.7. You might have put something different. And the other increasing, well, that one looks like it's starting at 1 and goes to infinity. So the decreasing interval is the one between there. So starts at the negative 1.7 and goes to 1. All right, I'm going to erase. Oh, that's not erased. I'm going to erase all this since I've got a mess there. Oh, gosh, I didn't want to erase. You got to love sometimes technology doesn't like me. All right. So then you kind of guess about the degree. Now, the end behavior has something to do with that, if you recall yesterday's lesson. So we know it's going to be odd. I'm going to have you write the smallest degree it could be, and that would be 3, because we know it won't be 1 because that would be a straight line. All right, so we're going to have the extrema, which is when it is changing from increasing to decreasing or decreasing to increasing. So that's going to be those relative max and mins, okay? So we see we have one up here, we see we have one right there. So I know I have a relative max. I'm going to just put R for relative, but max at, and we're going to kind of guess that Y value there. I'm guessing, about 4.5. Okay, and then we'll have a relative min down there. And that to me looks like it is at negative 5. And then our x-intercepts. Okay, I'm going to do them from left to right, and I'm going to guess. So let's see. It's a little bit more than negative 2.5. I'm going to put negative 2.6. This one, I'm going to put, I don't know, negative 0.4. And then this one, to me, just looks like 2. All right, so we had 3 x-intercepts. All right, so what I want you to do now is get out your calculator, and you're going to actually check your answers based on the actual graph, okay? So we're going to actually find correct answers. Now, what you should notice is that for range, we do not need the calculator, so you're not going to check this with the calculator. With the degree, you can still see the end behavior, so you should not need the calculator on that one either, okay? But check these others by finding max, mins, zeros, can help you find all of this stuff. So if you get out the calculator, I got to open, here it is. You're going to type the equation that is above the graph, plus x squared minus 5x minus 2. There's my graph. Okay. So if your graph is looking weird, remember if you push zoom 6, it gives you like the standard view, and this one fits in that. So there you go. All right. So we're not going to check the range, but increasing intervals. What I find easiest to do is actually find the max and min, because that's where those intervals stop or start, okay? So let's find the max and mins first. So we're going to go down and check letter E. And so I'm going to push second and then calc, which is that trace button. And we want a maximum. So we want number 4. We have to do left bound. So we got to go, whoa, my cursor just went crazy. We want to be on the left side of the peak somewhere. And we're going to scroll to the right side of the peak. And then the guess, I'm just pushing enter. All right. Now, our max is 4.5 or 4.48. It's the Y value. But I recommend writing by that So I do, once you check with your calculator, maybe change colors or put calculator answers off to the side. But I would say that my max, 4.5 was close enough. Let's see. I'm sorry. Let me go back to the calculator. Why doesn't it open it? There it goes. Yeah, 4.5. Sure, got it. But the x value is negative 1.7. So at x equaling negative 1.7, because this is what you will use for the increasing, decreasing intervals. Now, this is the answer here, but having that x value is important. So if you don't want to write it there, fine, write it, draw those lines where things are being split, and you know that this will be negative 1.7, okay? So let's find, the min. I'm trying to go back to the calculator. So I'm going to go second calc. Number 3 is minimum. I'll just push enter and then, scroll to the left or the right side of the valley. And I'm just going to push enter for guessed. All right, so this tells you that it's the min when x is 1 and y is negative 5. So, hey, I wrote my min well, still negative 5. So you can write that x value here, or we know that this is when x is 1. Okay, so it looks like I really guessed my x values for my intervals up there with the max and min. Okay, so the only other thing we need to find are the zeros. So there's a couple of ways to do this, which we've talked about before. You're going to go second calc, 0, and you're going to go to the left side. And what you could do is like be on the left of all of it, but I say just try to get one at a time. So you're setting the boundary. You see my zeros in between. I'll push enter for guessed. And our 0 is when x is negative 2.62. Notice the y value has e to a negative bigger number. That is 0. That is when y is 0. And I don't know why the calculator does that some. And you might see it in other situations. But that means 0. Okay. So then you find the other two zeros. Push second. Okay, now I'm between the first 0 and the second 0, and then I'll go till I'm between the next 0. There we go. And I get that it is negative 0.38. Okay, find the last 0. Okay, I'm between the two zeros, and then I'm going to be after the last 0 and enter, and it is at 2. So hopefully your answers looked good. But now we are going to, we just did that part. Now we're going to look at this table here. And no calculator when finding A, B, C, and D. We're going to estimate the x coordinate, but we need to finish filling out the table. So if you want to enter that equation in the calculator and then go over to the table, we're not dealing with the graph, okay? So we go y equals, clear that one out, negative x to the 4th minus x to the 3rd. Make sure you're using the negative and subtraction separately, right? That negative in front is a different button. Plus 5x squared plus x minus 3. Okay. Then instead of pushing just graph, you're going to push the blue button, the second, then graph. It gets you the table. Now, our table here starts with x being negative 3, so I'm going to scroll till I'm at the negative 3. So you see I have negative 3, the y value is negative 15. Then negative 2, the y value is 7. So fill that part of the table out, and I'm going to fill it out here. So I have negative 15, 7, 1, you should see 0 is -3, 1 is 1, 2 is -5, and 3 is -63. Okay, so we are just going to guess where these things are. Hopefully, you can look at this table and find C. Remember, the y-intercept is when x equals 0. Well, the table kind of tells us that right here. So our y-intercept is -3. All right. Now, the next thing that can be easier to estimate would actually be, I think, D. So let's do D first here. So we're approximating the x-intercepts. So we're saying what numbers are the intercepts between. So if we're looking at these y values, remember, y is negative below the x-axis, and it's positive above the x-axis. Well, right here, it's positive. I'm sorry, not positive. See, I'm making things up now. Is negative, right? Then it's positive, then positive, then negative. Anytime you are switching from positive and negative or negative to positive, you will have a 0. You have to cross the x-axis to get to the negative. So now we have a positive, okay. There will be a 0 between 0 and 1. And then we're back to negative. Then we still have negative, okay. So everywhere I drew a line, we will have an x-intercept somewhere. So I just write, okay, so between, because we're just estimating the x-coordinates, so between, for all of these, we're going to have x equaling, okay, so the first one would be between -3 and -2. And then the second line down was between -1 and 0. The next line down was between 0 and 1. And the next line is between 1 and 2. So we will have an x-intercept between those x values. Okay. Now, to figure out relative min and relative max. If I am going from the y values, if I'm going from -15 to 7, you notice the y value is getting bigger. Okay, so I'm saying it's a plus there, but that's just that it is getting bigger. It's going up the graph, right? Which means we are on increasing. We're on the increasing interval, right? Okay, so it is increasing. But then from 7 to 1, so actually instead of writing that plus, maybe we should just write increasing, right? Now it's getting smaller, so it is decreasing. Well, when you're graphing, here's a graph, I'm just making something up, right? If you go from increasing to decreasing, we have a maximum. Let me put the max in another color, right? So you're increasing, then decreasing, then increasing, then you'd have a min. Okay, so I know we will have a relative minimum when x is negative, oh my goodness, from increasing to decreasing, I just said it'd be a maximum, and then I changed it to minimum, would be when x is -2. So this will be near x equaling -2. Okay? And then now it's decreasing from 7 to 1. Then from 1 to -3, it's still decreasing. Then -3 to +1, it's now increasing. So right here, it switched from decreasing to increasing, which tells us that would be a minimum. So it would be near x equaling 0. And then it's at +1. and then it's going to -5. So it just went from increasing to decreasing. So this would be a max. So, oh, I'm sorry, I'm trying to say, I said max, but I'm writing near. Sorry about that. So near x equaling 1. And then from the -5 to the -63, we are still decreasing. All right, so that is how we looked at our answers. But what I want you to do is understand how to look at a table and find those things, or at least get near where x values of those things, except hopefully the y-intercept, if it's shown, you should be able to see. But now I want to use your calculator and check to see if your estimates were correct. So you can write those off over to the right or something like that. Okay? So that's what we're doing. We are looking at a graph and being able to pull properties of our polynomial from it, and then being able to look at a table and doing the same thing. Okay? So what you are to do today is complete the practice on page 5 and 6. And if you need more to do because you get that done, well, go ahead and finish or correct your practice for lesson 1. If all of that is done, you can always get on Alex and continue your progress. So I hope this went well in class. The video played well. I will see you on Monday.